how I feel some days. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Court of Appeals for the 2026 Law Day celebration. Please remain standing for a couple of minutes, first for the Pledge of Allegiance. It's my pleasure to welcome Abby Gray to lead us in the pledge. Abby is in the 7th grade at the Howard L. Goff Middle School and is the daughter of Officer Jessica Gray and Lynn Gray. Jessica is one of our wonderful court officers here in the Court of Appeals. Abby? Abby does this all the time, so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Abby. And for return engagement, we have fan favorite, Lieutenant Peter Robinson, to lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lieutenant. Please be seated, everyone. Again, on behalf of the Unified Court System and our co-host, the Office of the Attorney General of the State of New York, I welcome you to the 2026 Law Day celebration. Seated on the bench are my colleagues on the New York State Court of Appeals, Associate Judges Michael Garcia, Madeline Singas, Tony Canataro, Shirley Troutman, and Caitlin Halligan. Senior Associate Judge Jenny Rivera can't be with us today. She is the court's delegate to the National Conference of Bar Examiners, and her prize is a weekend in Philadelphia. Second prize is 2 weekends. Alongside me are New York State Attorney General Letitia James, Chief Administrative Judge of the Unified Court System Joseph Zayas, and the President of the New York State Bar Association Kathleen Sweet. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the 4 Appellate Division Justices, Diane Renwick, Hector LaSalle, Beth Gary, and Gerald Whalen. And also the presence of our Deputy Chief Administrative Judge, Norman St. George, and our First Deputy, and our Deputy Chief Administrative Judges, James Murphy, Edwina Richardson, and Adam Silvera. And welcome to you all. I'm delighted. I'm delighted to see so many of our other colleagues in the judiciary, and I know they will join me in welcoming our special visitors from the coordinate branches of government, Solicitor General Barbara Underwood, First Deputy Solicitor General Jennifer Levy, and Michael O'Regan, and her Chief of Staff, Counsel from the Executive Chamber, Kenan Kurt, and I think I've got everybody except Taya Grays, the incoming president of the State Bar. So this year, the American Bar Association has chosen the rule of law and the American dream as the theme for Law Day, and given us the explanation that the rule of law ensures all Americans have the ability to fulfill their dreams. When almost anyone in the United States talks about opportunity, success, or hope, the phrase, the American dream, comes up again and again. For most, it's associated with the idea of upward social mobility, with the belief that through hard work and self-determination, Regardless of one's social origins or humble beginnings, anyone can rise from rags to riches. For some, the phrase even evokes a checklist of what it means to be successful in America: a home with a lawn, a white picket fence, 2 cars in the garage, and 2.5 children. You might think the phrase the American dream originated around Horatio Alger's time, just after the Civil War, or maybe in the Gilded Age, but it's actually not quite that old. The phrase was coined by James Truslow Adams, a Brooklyn-born author and historian, in his 1931 book, The Epic of America. Writing at the start of the Great Depression, Adams defined the American dream as that dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to his ability or achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of a social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain the fullest stature of which they are innately capable and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth or position. For Adams, the American dream was fundamentally not about wealth, but about equal opportunity, the promise that our governments will work to ensure that all persons can reach their highest potential, no matter who they were or into what circumstances they were born. Adams further recognized that the American dream was a dream by Americans, but not just for Americans. As he explained, the American dream that has lured tens of millions of all nations to our shores in the past century has not been a dream merely of material plenty, though that has doubtlessly counted heavily. It has been much more than that. It has been a dream of being able to grow to the fullest development as man and woman, unhampered by the barriers which had slowly been erected in the older civilizations, unrepressed by social orders which had developed for the benefit of classes rather than for the simple human being of any and every class. The American dream, as Adams understood it, offered both a working model for other governments to emulate and a welcoming home for people born elsewhere who believed strongly in its promise. The values animating Adams' definition go back to the founding, though the founders would not have used the word dream. 18th century Americans used the word dream pejoratively to refer to impractical, foolhardy fantasizing for romantic ideas that would never come true. In the Federalist Papers, for example, Alexander Hamilton urged Americans to abandon the idle theories and dreams that several states would coexist peacefully without a strong federal government uniting them. But no matter what words we use to describe their political philosophy, the founders, like James Truslow Adams, envisioned a society in which every person had an equal opportunity to reach his or her fullest potential. The Declaration of Independence, 250 years old this year, recognized that all men are created equal and that government's role to protect the rights of all to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was paramount. 90 years later, Abraham Lincoln said that the great principle or idea that kept this Confederacy so long together was that sentiment in the Declaration of Independence which gave promise that in due time the weight would be lifted from the shoulders of all men. And by weight, he meant the systemic injustices, especially slavery, that prevented equal opportunity for all people. President Lincoln went on to say, "If this country cannot be saved without giving up that principle, I would rather be assassinated on the spot than surrender it." Slowly, however, that principle, written by the founders and extolled by Lincoln, lost its centrality to the popular conception of the American dream. After World War II, fueled by the deprivation of the Great Depression and wartime, by booming birth and income and home ownership rates, by the rise of television advertising, consumerism became central to the national ethos. A good consumer was a good citizen, purchasing a patriotic act that helped the American economy recover after decades of war and depression. The American dream became inextricably tied to ideas of material wealth, even as civil rights leaders sought to recenter the dream on justice and equality. Dr. King grounded his incomparable oration at the 1963 March on Washington as a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. As we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the American dream continues to encompass both promise and challenge. The founding promise of full participation in our democracy for all Americans, and the challenge that over the past 2.5 centuries, we've approached that promise haltingly with unsteady and faltering steps. That is where the rule of law comes in. Our laws are what enfranchise or exclude. They are what can transform the American dream from a fantastical myth into genuine opportunity. The Constitution's 3/5 clause, Dred Scott, Plessy v. Ferguson, Minor v. Happersett, Korematsu, Baker v. Nelson, when we have used the law to disenfranchise and exclude, we have further delayed fulfillment of our country's founding promise and rendered the American dream hollow. By pairing the American dream and the rule of law, the American Bar Association exhorts us to set our sights on ensuring that the rule of law continues to evolve in the direction of equity and inclusion. In 1931, James Truslow Adams described the American dream as an opportunity for a better and fuller life, which could mean 100 different things for 100 different people. For the hundreds of us gathered here today and the hundreds of us watching online and who will watch later, each with our own experiences and areas of expertise, I'm sure we could think of more than 100 ways, some big, some very small, in which the rule of law could better enable all New Yorkers to achieve their American dream. And the task of envisioning and implementing those big and small ideas is the duty of every one of us. My hope for this Law Day is that we recommit ourselves and each other to the original definition of the American dream by recognizing our communal duty and opportunity to fortify governmental systems that protect the freedom to choose one's path, to express one's identity, and to pursue happiness on one's own terms. On the 4th of July, 1854, Henry David Thoreau admonished his audience, the law will never make men free. It is men who have got to make the law free. That task remains before us and requires our constant effort. Let's get to it. As part of the Unified Court System's ongoing efforts, 2 years ago we created the Office of Statewide Civic Engagement. This year the office ran its second annual Civics Essay Contest. High school students from across the state were invited to write an essay proposing a new amendment to the United States Constitution. There were a lot of entries. Finalists from each judicial district were then invited to orally defend their proposals at a local courthouse before a panel of 3 Unified Court System judges. 126 students from 11 counties submitted essays. The statewide essays were selected based both on the written essay and the oral presentation, and I'm pleased to announce the winners today. In third place, Kara Wise of Saratoga County in the 4th Judicial District. Kara proposed an amendment to limit the president's pardon power, including by requiring approval by 2/3 of the United States House of Representatives for any pardon. In second place, Clara Burke of Queens County in the 11th Judicial District. Judge Zayas was not on the panel of judges. Clara proposed an amendment to place term limits on United States Supreme Court justices. Sort of like the ones we have here. In first place, Sanaya Muhammad of Kings County in the 2nd Judicial District. Sanaya proposed a Youth Equal Rights Amendment, which would include protections against physical discipline of youth in the home and at school. Congratulations to Kara, Clara, and Sanaya, whose essays will be posted on the website of the Office of Statewide Civic Engagement on the court system. And congratulations to all of the students who took the time to consider creative ways that might strengthen our democracy. Finally, I would like to announce the winners of the Law Day Art Contest. As in previous years, our Office of Justice Initiatives, in partnership with the Historical Society of New York Courts, invited high school students from across New York State to participate in an art contest inspired by the American Bar Association's Law Day topic. This year, we received 32 submissions from 15 counties, many of which are on a rotating display outside of the courtroom. Today, I'm also delighted to announce the statewide first, second, and third place prize winners as determined by a panel of art judges, not law judges. In third place, Reaching for the Stars by Jordan Mers of Kings County in the 2nd Judicial District. The piece depicts 5 outstretched hands reaching for the stars on the American flag. Jordan wrote, "In our nation, I believe that everyone should get equal chances, equal opportunities, and equal treatment. With my artwork, I wanted to show a variety of Americans all getting the same chance to reach for the stars to get their American dream." In second place, Liberty for All by Spencer Sweet of Rensselaer County in the 3rd Judicial District. Spencer wrote, "A group of diverse children stand at the foreground, amazed by an American flag that serves as an inspiration to them. They represent a future that is equal under the law. Behind them, the U.S. Capitol and Lady Justice serve as the background and foundational pieces to the American experience. The Constitution also serves as a reminder that the law stems from the consent and wishes of the people that guide our country to be the equal and free place that it should be." And in first place, Justice for All by Nana Wada of New York County in the 1st Judicial District. Nana's art depicts the Statue of Liberty as Lady Justice holding 2 level scale plates in which a colorful array of New Yorkers sit together. The artist's statement reads, "The rule of law means that all people are equal, where no one is higher or lower than the other, and are free to live with freedom. So my art is to represent a justice scale, which is a symbolic representation of fairness and how each side is at the same level, showing equality between all the people." The 3 pieces of artwork are beautiful and inspiring in their own right, and I'm doubly moved that they all identified and connected to the original meaning of the American dream, that all people are created equal, should have equal chances to live and grow under the equal protection of the rule of law. Congratulations to Nana, Spencer, and Jordan, and to all the students who participated in our Law Day art contest. I also thank the Office of Justice Initiatives and the Historical Society of the New York Courts for encouraging our youth to think about and contribute to our democracy in beautiful and creative ways. And it's now It is now my pleasure and privilege to turn the program over to the Attorney General of the State of New York, Letitia James.
I want to congratulate all of those honorees. Our future looks very bright. Of course, I want to thank Chief Justice. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be with all of you today as we gather to celebrate Law Day. Chief Justice Wilson, the Administrative Judge Joseph Zayas, Solicitor General Barbara Underwood, the First Deputy Jennifer Levy, the Chief of Staff from my office, Michael Regan, Kathleen Sweet, the President of the New York State Bar Association, members of the Court of Appeals, and of course all of the members of the bench and of the bar. As lawyers this day, it allows us to promote understanding and appreciation for the rule of law. This year's theme, the rule of law and the American dream, reminds us that the promise of this country is sustained by laws that are fair and a legal system that ensures that the rights and privileges and opportunities of all are protected. As the Chief Legal Officer for this great state, my office and the office and the responsibilities of all of those in the Office of the Attorney General is to defend and enforce the laws of this great state. But what we have witnessed recently are extreme overreaches and deliberate violations of our Constitution by the federal government. The withholding of federal federal funds from the state has caused devastating harm to our state and its residents. Funds necessary to ensure that parents can feed their children and that citizens can rely on the protection of law enforcement, and so much more. These funds also amount to the building blocks of the American dream by helping families find stability, access opportunity, and build a future with dignity. These actions have been done wholly without the permission of Congress, a co-equal branch of our government. The Constitution gives the power of the purse to Congress. The Constitution vests in Congress all legitimate power to appropriate funding. And any attempt to weaken that power is an affront to the separation of powers. And it's not just the funding that Congress allocates to New York that's at risk. We're seeing unprecedented efforts via executive orders to exert total federal control over our elections. And just this week, the United States Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, further disenfranchising millions of Americans and eliminating a pillar of our democratic system of government that civil rights heroes fought and died to secure. Access to the ballot box is the very foundation of the American dream. Without a voice in our government, there is no pathway to opportunity, no accountability, and no justice. We're also seeing unprecedented efforts to undermine the rights of immigrant communities. These are families who came to this country in pursuit of that same American dream. They do not represent the worst of the worst. They are entitled to the same due process, dignity, and protection under the law. My friends, if the oaths we took when we passed the bar are to mean anything to any of us, then we must stand firm against any and all attacks on the rule of law and on the judiciary. This is not a partisan issue. It is fundamentally a question of right or wrong, the fraying of our democratic norms. And we cannot sit idly by and let the fabric of our democracy be destroyed. We cannot rationalize this behavior, these efforts, or shy away from our responsibility. We cannot normalize this concentration of power. We must withstand the tremors of our time and defend the law, the independence of the legal profession, and our nation's future. In defending the rule of law, we are fighting to ensure that everyone in our country, no matter their station in life, no matter their background, can build a better life for themselves. That, my friends, is the American dream. And that, my friends, falls upon the shoulders of all of us in this room and those who are listening, and those young people who competed in that great contest. It's up to us, to all of us, and as lawyers and as individuals who believe and defend the rule of law each and every day, it is ours to defend. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for those inspiring words. And thank you, Judge Wilson, for inviting me here today. It's an honor to speak to all of you and in this hallowed room. It's an honor to be with the judges of the Court of Appeals. I'm reminded that our past president, Hank Greenberg, described them just a few days ago as the greatest court of last resort in the land. Couldn't agree more. Thank you also for the privilege of being with the presiding justices of the Fourth Department, including my home Fourth Department PJ, Judge Whalen. Our Chief Administrative Judge Zayas, always great to see you and be with you. I will never forget our first meeting. We met at the Queens County Bar Association event approximately a year ago, and we are very different body types. And he did a jump squat into a chair, from flat-footed onto a chair, and we were talking eye to eye. For months, I thought I had hallucinated that. And last week at the Armenian Bar Association, he received a well-deserved award, and I went over to him afterwards to congratulate him, and I questioned whether that was in fact a hallucination, and he said, "No, I did it." We are also joined today by, as you heard, our strong, courageous, and embattled Attorney General Letitia James. It is really humbling to be with you, so thank you for joining us today. And thank you also for attending our 150th anniversary gala in January. That was really a treat to have you with us. The list of additional judges, lawmakers, leaders, dignitaries that are here is too long for me to call out everyone, but thank you all for making this event a part of your day and the celebration a part of your work. Also, congratulations to the Judith S. Kay Award honorees. Judge Kay was a role model for me, and I know she would be proud of each of you. I also look forward to recognizing our Pro Bono Award winners from across the state this afternoon at our Bar Center a few steps from here. Well, you've heard other people's take on the Law Day theme, the rule of law and the American dream. Our country, as you well know, celebrates 250 years in existence this year, and the New York State Bar Association is celebrating its 150th year anniversary. Before I go any further, I also want to congratulate and welcome in just 30 days our incoming president of the New York State Bar Association, historic choice, our first woman of color who will lead our 55,000 members, Taya Grace. Each of us can reflect on the milestones that we've achieved personally with the benefit of living in this country and all that it provides. And we can feel civic and professional pride in our achievements and the achievements of lawyers and judges and the court system. But how does the rule of law impact the American dream? Well, here's how I see it. When people come here, they are not guaranteed wealth or success or even well-being. But because of the rule of law, they are promised and guaranteed fairness, comfort, and certainty that they will be seen equally and treated equally in the eyes of the law. And in return, new citizens take an oath. Almost everyone in this room has taken an oath, whether law enforcement, military, attorneys, judges, elected leaders. We all took an oath. And the taking of the oath has become almost mechanical. It's so routine. It is at the end of a long road of achievement and struggle, or at the beginning of a new position. And the things we say when we take an oath have become almost rote, even though they are so important. In 2026, how will we live up to our oaths? How do we do our part to preserve the American dream? Well, one way is to hold ourselves and our national leaders to those oaths. There's a couple examples of how the Bar Association in particular has tried to do that. Many of you know that over the last year and since early 2025, the most powerful law enforcement positions in the country have been diluted, distorted, and weakened by installing loyalists who are unvetted, unqualified, and inexperienced, without Senate confirmation, and barely a wink toward the necessary independence of the Department of Justice. The administration and the Attorney General have failed to carry out their oaths, which is to faithfully discharge their duties and the laws of our country. Consider how federal judges and U.S. attorneys were appointed just 10 years ago. They were interviewed by senators, investigated thoroughly by the FBI, by the Department of Justice, full days of interviews by the American Bar Association's Standing Committee on the Federal Judiciary, a recommended or appointed or nominated lawyer. Their firm, their friends, their family, their neighbors were all interviewed. Qualifications and temperament, ethics and experience mattered. And if such a lawyer was fortunate to get to a hearing before a Senate Judiciary Committee, someone like Senator Lindsey Graham may ask such a nominee, What does it mean to live in a rule of law society? I wish I could say that when the question was posed to me, that brilliance poured out of me. But 10 years ago, what I said was hardly inspirational or memorable. It was like the oath we've all taken. We meant it, but we took it for granted. A collective commitment to respect the rules for the sake of a civilized society. At the time, those were words uttered by my fellow nominees at the Judiciary Committee hearing. I did not, I confess, fully appreciate what we were all saying. We took it for granted. So what happened? Elections have consequences. The Senate never voted on my nomination or any of my fellow nominees. It was a thrilling experience, and despite the disappointment, I came away grateful that it was such a thorough, rigorous, serious process. I came to respect federal judges and U.S. attorneys even more. Lawyers and judges are the ones who give life to the promise of the rule of law and our society. It is the foundation, but it is no longer a given. And the American dream does not and cannot exist without it. As lawyers and as judges, we owe a special, non-delegable duty to the rule of law. It cannot defend itself. It is not self-executing. We together are the keepers of that flame. And more than any other segment of society, our daily bread is due process, fair play, decency with one another, respect for diversity, and respect for our adversaries. When the rest of our citizenry goes numb, is overwhelmed, or confused by political noise, we, as lawyers, she's speaking out in defense of the rule of law. We as lawyers must stay engaged and tuned in. We must speak out for the Constitution. We cannot sit back and hope or wait to see who else might do it. It's up to us. The rule of law and the basis for the American dream are codified in our Constitution, which was debated, drafted, and enacted by lawyers. It will be lawyers who save it, and it will be lawyers who preserve the American dream. Thank you so much for the honor of speaking to you today.
So I am so tempted to address that. I'm short. And I just want to assure our incoming president that I will never do that to her. And it wasn't that we were having a discussion. It was somebody wanted to take a photo. And I did not want to be at President Sweet's elbow. Well, you know, she's a former basketball player. So that's what that was about. I wanted to take a picture where we sort of had the same. I did one day, however, say, say one day, I keep wondering whether or not I could take a layup and actually get the ball in the basket. And she said, I don't think so. Against that. Never going to happen. But good to see everyone. So each year on Law Day, we honor our court system employees from across the state who exemplify the characteristics that we most value in public servants. These individuals are not only effective in the workplace, but they are also pillars of their communities. The awards that they receive bear the name of one of our most influential, consequential, and admired chief judges, Judge Judith Kay. It is my privilege to present these awards today. The first category of awards, exemplary work performance, really speaks for itself. We recognize individuals who go above and beyond each day, who are innovative and creative, who are selfless colleagues, and who make our courts more efficient, effective, and compassionate places. Perhaps the most fitting way to introduce David Nocenti, OCA's counsel, is to acknowledge that he would probably prefer to be anywhere else right now rather than being recognized in this setting. And I mean that as a compliment. Dave is the consummate team player. He doesn't want to be the center of attention. He just wants to do his job well, and just as importantly, to support his colleagues so they can be successful in their roles. Because ultimately, what drives Dave is the desire to serve New Yorkers by helping make their government work more effectively for them. Dave has devoted almost his entire legal career to serving others. As an assistant U.S. attorney, as counsel to Queens Borough President, the Attorney General, 2 governors, and for 14 years as Executive Director of Union Settlement, the oldest and largest social services organization in East Harlem. When the Chief Judge and I assumed our roles in 2023, we knew that counsel for the Office of Court Administration was a key appointment. When we interviewed Dave, we knew we had lucked out and that we were fortunate to have someone with Dave's breadth of experience to help guide some of our most important decisions. I'm sure that many of you here today have benefited from your own consultations with Dave and his staff, who effectively function as in-house law department for the court system and provide sound advice on a wide range of issues. Counsel's office is also responsible for advancing OCA's legislative program, and Dave has strengthened that process too, including by putting the right people in place to lead those efforts, which has resulted in the passage of more of our program bills and improved relationships with the legislative and executive branches. On a personal note, I want to say that Dave has been tremendously valuable, a tremendously valuable sounding board for me on so many issues. He really is a counselor in the best, most complete sense of that word. He's knowledgeable about the law, of course, and the legislative process, but he's also strategic, pragmatic, and operates with unimpeachable integrity. Also, as I said, he cares a lot about New York and New Yorkers. It is a pleasure to work with him each day and to present him with this award. Dave, please come up. Our next award for exemplary work performance goes to Shannon Perro. Ms. Perro serves as a court attorney referee and special counsel for town and village courts in the 7th Judicial District. In addition, she serves as a town justice in the town of Greece, bringing the perspective of a sitting judge to the operational support she provides across the local courts of the district. Ms. Perro was responsible for creating the first centralized arraignment part, or CAP, in the 7th Judicial District, and since then has been the driving force behind the opening of CAPs in every county in the district, culminating last year with the launch of the 8th and final CAP in Monroe County. The latest project was a vast and complex undertaking integrating 19 town and village courts, the Rochester City Court, and a wide network of stakeholders to handle thousands of cases with consistency and speed. Ms. Pirro did the hard work herself, putting in 12 to 16 hours a day, hiring and training 4 new staff members, and staying late each night when the part first opened. She continues to manage all 8 CAPs, remaining on call 24/7 for inquiries from judges, police agencies, and court personnel. The impact of the CAPs has been significant. Since the first one opened in 2018, they have facilitated well over 50,000 arraignments, nearly 10,000 of them in Monroe County alone during its first year of operation, ensuring that each individual's constitutional right to counsel at their first appearance is honored. Judges and senior staff in the 7th District attribute these results to Ms. Pirro's perseverance, competence, and commitment to the mission of our court system. They describe Ms. Pirro as a leader who builds consensus where barriers once stood, who is available at a moment's notice to support 162 local judges and clerks, and who meets even the most sensitive matters with poise, professionalism, and kindness. These are the values we prize, the values that Judith Kaye championed. Ms. Pirro, for your extraordinary leadership, your steadfast commitment, and your exemplary performance and service to the people of the state of New York, it is my honor to present you with the Judith Kaye Service Award. Please come forward to accept your award. Our next recipient is in the exemplary work performance category is someone I know very well because she worked in Queens. Nancy Sams, a principal court reporter in the Supreme Court Queens County criminal term. Over a career spanning more than 35 years, Ms. Sams has demonstrated exceptional professionalism, leadership, and commitment to the mission of the unified court system. For the last 3 years, Ms. Sams served as supervising court reporter, consistently modeling the qualities of a strong leader. She has been a trusted mentor and a positive influence for colleagues throughout the court. In a time of staffing constraints in the court reporter title, Ms. Sams has remained resolution-oriented, ensuring that our judges have the support they need to administer justice in Queens County day in and day out. Her dedication extends beyond the core responsibilities of her role. Ms. Sams has volunteered in planning and executing equal justice programs within the court and has mentored our summer interns, helping the court to invest in the next generation of court professionals and to reinforce a culture of dignity, access, and service. Ms. Sams has now retired from her position. In fact, just yesterday was her last day of service to the New York State court system. She concludes a distinguished career that has touched countless court proceedings, families, and lives. Through this award, we honor a career of steady excellence and express our appreciation for decades of service that has been precise, dependable, and quietly transformative. Ms. Sams, for your exemplary work performance, your leadership under pressure, and your decades of faithful service to the Queens County Supreme Court and the Unified Court System, we extend our deepest gratitude and heartfelt congratulations. Nancy Sams, please come up and accept your award. Our final award for exemplary work performance goes to Isidorus Giacomus. Did I get that right? Or Steve, as he is known in the Supreme Court Queens County civil term, where he has worked for 33 years. Mr. Giacomus started his career as a court aide and worked his way up through a series of promotions to his current position as management analyst in the court's fiscal department. Mr. Giacomus plays a key role in ensuring that the Queens civil term facilities are set up and running smoothly. He is involved in far too many things to mention here, but they include scaffolding projects, roof repairs, elevator maintenance, and the management of television and movie production crews using the courthouses as film locations. He is the point person who coordinates the various departments, various compartments and outside agencies conducting these projects. He also supervises the fiscal department staff and oversees the process of moving judges into new chambers. As Chief Administrative Judge, it was truly gratifying to read the many, many letters submitted in support of Mr. Giacomus's nomination to receive this award. He was described in glowing terms by both the justices and non-judicial staff at Queens Civil Term. They called him a, quote, troubleshooter, ever present, and the trusted go-to person to address any concerns regarding courthouse facilities. They emphasized the pride he takes in preserving the character and condition of our courts in Queens, as well as the personal attention he gives to each and every person working with him. Mr. Giacomus was also touted by his colleagues as a role model who leads by example. He gets to work every day, early every day, stays late, and rolls up his sleeves to work side by side, Chief, side by side with the staff he supervises. And to top it off, Mr. Giacomus is described as personable, good-natured, patient, and always bearing a smile. It is quite clear to me that Mr. Giacomus approaches all of his duties with professionalism, virtuosity, and the greatest care. For this, he is an exemplary public servant and a true asset to the court system. Please come up and accept your award. The next category in this year's Judith K. Service Awards is Community Service and Humanitarian Pursuits. This award recognizes the achievements of court system employees who have devoted their efforts and abilities to endeavors that benefit the community as a whole. This year's recipient in the Community Service category is Aranus Thomas. Whose granddaughter was the beautiful toddler that has been helping us out this year. Ms. Thomas joined the Unified Court System in 1994 as an office typist in the Kings County Clerk's Office. She has received several promotions throughout her long career and currently serves as a principal court clerk in Supreme Court Kings County civil term. In this role, Ms. Thomas supervises the Help Center at the busy courthouse at 360 Adams. Our help centers perform a crucial function. They assist litigants who are not represented by an attorney. Although our court staff cannot give legal advice, they provide pro se litigants with helpful procedural information to help them navigate our court system. Filing or defending a lawsuit can be frightening, stressful, a stressful experience for anyone, let alone an unrepresented litigant. Ms. Thomas goes above and beyond in helping them. I am told that prior to Ms. Thomas's work in the Help Center, scared and anxious litigants sometimes caused disturbances. Court security would often have to respond to these incidents. Ms. Thomas's patient approach and her calming presence have nearly eliminated these occurrences. According to Administrative Judge Janine Edwards, it is a common sight while walking through the courthouse to see litigants approach Ms. Thomas to thank her for assisting them in the past. It is evident from Ms. Thomas's job performance and that she cares about the welfare of others and believes that everyone who enters the doors of the courthouse should be respected, receive the necessary attention, and have their day in court. In recognition of Ms. Thomas's dedication to helping the public, we bestow upon her this well-deserved award. Ms. Thomas, you can come up with this one. Our final award recognizes acts of heroism. This award honors employees within our court system who have risked their own personal safety to protect others and serve the greater good. This year, we are collectively honoring a group of 13 court officers who were called upon to confront the sort of situation that we pray never happens, but unfortunately sometimes does. In June of last year, a man entered the criminal courthouse in Manhattan armed with a knife and launched what appears to have been a planned attack on our court officers. The first officer the assailant confronted, Court Officer Ralph DeVito, was cut twice on the face, knocking him down. The assailant then charged at another officer, Malik Sylvester, cutting Officer Sylvester's face and neck, and attempting to stab him several times in the back. Another of our officers, Michael Oliver, rushed to his colleague's assistance. So did Sergeant Edward Calderon. They were able, along with other officers, to bring him down, though the assailant continued to struggle and injured Sergeant Calderon. Ultimately, the officers were able to subdue the assailant, disarm him, and place him under arrest. Thankfully, they were able to do so without discharging their weapons and before any members of the public or any other court employees or judges were attacked. Each of the officers we are honoring today acted with extraordinary bravery and selflessness. They acted quickly, decisively, and without regard for their own personal safety to protect their colleagues and the public. That day, they exemplified the best of the law enforcement profession. But what is also extraordinary is that, notwithstanding the physical injuries they sustained and the trauma they experienced, most of these officers were back at work within a few weeks, staffing the same posts in the courthouse lobby where they'd been attacked on that morning in June. As Administrative Judge Amica eloquently put it in nominating these officers for this award, that decision speaks volumes about their character, resilience, and commitment to the mission of ensuring a safe and secure courthouse for all who enter. In honoring these 13 officers today, I want to extend my deep gratitude to all of our court officers throughout the state who protect our courthouses each and every day. Unfortunately, in recent years, we have seen an alarming increase in the number of threats made against judges, and in some horrific cases, actual acts of violence have been perpetrated. All of this is very troubling for the judiciary, but I know I speak for all of my colleagues on the bench when I say that we rest easier at night, knowing that we have the best court officers in the country protecting us. Sergeants Edward Calderon, Damian Clark, Carmelo Correa, court officers Jaime Alvarez, Michael Carrieri, Ralph DeVito, Chelsea Marcus, Joseph Passberg, Nigel Riley, Malik Sylvester, David Taus, Matthew Wells, and Michael Oliver. Please come up to accept your award.
Thank you all for attending. That concludes the 2026 Law Day celebration. Hope to see you all in 2027.